Something like this, Project Urban Warrior, I believe is what it was called, would be about $300,000. So it takes about 300 grand to completely fix and sort out an old Land Rover. It's this right here. Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. And if you're getting a bit of deja vu right now, like you've seen this video before, well, actually you have. This is the second installment, the part 2 of why you should never ever buy a cheap used Land Rover, especially a Range Rover. And you would think I would have learned my lesson from the previous video and other experiences, but I haven't. This has been completely ruining my life for the past 2 years, even though I knew better, because I bought it anyway. It's just too tempting to buy something as beautiful as this for so cheap. It's a 2010 Land Rover Range Rover Sport supercharged Autobiography with a 500 horsepower V8, gorgeous interior, and it was only $8,500. But I've spent a lot of money trying to keep this thing going for the past 2 years or so, and barely driven it. It has been a complete nightmare. And today I'm going to explain how this turd's existence has made me completely miserable, how the car wizard, even the Land Rover dealer for months, could not figure out how to fix this thing, even asking people over in England, experts at Land Rover, to try and figure this thing out, to no avail. And we're also going to check out a vintage Land Rover, the only way you could probably own one of these. So here we go. But before we get into how this Rover has drained my money and my soul, I have some consumer advice on something you should buy and an update on my next season of car issues. And I'd like to thank Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Surfshark is a VPN or virtual private network service provider that is PC Magazine's preferred choice to keep all of your internet data safe behind a wall of encryption and blocks websites from tracking your data. But there are so many more benefits to Surfshark. My favorite, obviously, is content unblocking, which allows you to watch US Netflix in any country, for example, or you can get around geo-blocking and do things like watch Top Gear episodes through the BBC iPlayer by changing server location, something that I do pretty often myself. Websites like Motor Trend On Demand are blocked outside the US as well, so if you live outside the US or you travel but still want to watch my show Car Issues, now there's actually no word on a new season yet. They haven't given me the thumbs up, thumbs down. Apparently I'm going to have to wait another month or so, but installing Surfshark is the best way to watch current episodes very easily. You can work around it and watch it overseas. Surfshark can also save money as different regions can have different prices for flights and other items, so switching or eliminating that paywall based on region really pays off. One account allows you to install Surfshark on an unlimited number of devices, which is pretty unheard of, as well as the incredible deal they are offering Hoovie's Garage subscribers. For a limited time, you can get 83% off a 2-year plan plus 3 extra months for free at surfshark.deal/Hoovies. This special offer makes your subscription just $2.21 per month. So do yourself a favor, go to surfshark.deal/Hoovies and use the code Hoovies to protect your online privacy today. Surfshark.deal/HOOVIES. Yes, I love British TV shows, but I'm certainly not loving this British product right now. I won't even give it the dignity of being clean ever again because it's made me so angry. You can see it is filthy, but actually, yes, this is my second video talking about how terrible it is to own a Range Rover when it's old. The first one was a 2004 Land Rover, the full size that it actually was on my first season of Car Issues, the TV show on Motor Trend. And after the show was over, the thing was so terminally bad. This one was the BMW sourced V8 engine, had so many issues. It was so far gone that I literally dug a hole and buried it. And I left it down there for a year, dug it back up, and water had gotten into this hole, and it was completely ruined. I was so satisfied though, because I hated that car so much. I made a video with John Ross right before it went into the hole with his Range Rover Classic, talking about how terrible that was and which one was worse. He was able to sell that without losing very much money to somebody else who actually gave the car away because the apartment that he was living at was making him get rid of it. I think the key broke off, some other issues, a lot of problems. The person who got it actually got it running again, but then that cost him a bunch of money. Basically, each person that had it, it continued to curse them for several generations. Each person would lose thousands of dollars on it. So that thing, I hope it's not still alive, but the other one in that video is certainly dead. But that was many years ago, and clearly I didn't learn my lesson, because when this thing popped up, actually Euro-Asian Bob bought it at a GMC dealer. It was traded in. I couldn't help myself. Now, he thought he was giving me a big favor by selling me this car for $8,500, which is a small fraction of its original MSRP. And you get a lot for the money, obviously. You get a 500 horsepower V8. You get a gorgeous interior. You get so much car. It was over $100,000 new for less than 10% of the price. But it did have some issues, so he sold it to me at his cost, what he paid for it. He said, if you don't buy it, then I'll fix all the things and then retail it. It might retail for close to 20 grand, at least high teens. So he thought he was doing me a favor, but really, me taking this car from him did him an enormous favor of trying to sort this thing out, because it has been years and this thing is only worse than when we started. So basically, I started with a 108,000 mile Range Rover Sport Autobiography. If you look inside, the Autobiography treatment is fantastic. The two-tone interior, all of this is aging very well. The paint on these cars, the interiors, they are really tough. They do hold up. And of course, the styling itself has aged really well. One thing that's surprisingly also aging well, despite its reputation, is the engine under the hood. This 500 horsepower supercharged V8 sourced from Jaguar, but these do have serious issues with timing chains and guides that love to grenade this $10,000 plus engine at around 100,000 miles. This one has 109,000 miles, so it's a ticking bomb that I have not fixed yet, and I absolutely refuse to, because this thing has made me so mad. But I've been under the hood a lot because of a battery drain. If I leave this thing parked for more than a few days, the battery goes dead sometimes. Sometimes it stays up, but sometimes some random electrical thing will go bad. And that's the name of the game with this Land Rover, is it was electrical issues. The battery drain, and then an intermittent suspension light that was quite annoying. It would come more than it would go, and sometimes it would give you the big warning. But now that's permanently on, and that's where this thing really, really made me mad. So we'll start with the Car Wizard's attempt to fix things. Basically, I wanted this suspension light off, I wanted the battery drain gone, and it was like whack-a-mole with the battery drain. You'd pull all the fuses like you would chasing a battery drain, and you couldn't find it because it would randomly start all working again. It was really difficult to find, but we thought, well, let's fix the suspension light first, and hopefully that might solve the battery drain. We'll see. So the Car Wizard, he went through and did a lot of the normal diagnostics that anybody would do. Apparently, the suspension system, it was air ride before, it's not anymore. It would not allow the air ride to deflate. So when you put the suspension up and down, or it needed to relieve some pressure, that pressure relief valve would not open. It would get the signal and not open. So Wizard first wanted to replace the pump itself, and that didn't fix it. And then he saw that the suspension itself, one side was just sort of falling over, so he tried out the rear shocks to see if that was the issue, because they looked pretty bad. That didn't fix the problem. He chased electrical things and said, you know, this really needs some in-depth electrical diagnosis, and I don't want to throw any more parts at it, so I'm not going to charge you for any of these repairs, but you really need to take it to the Land Rover dealer, to someone who deals on these cars every single day, and hopefully they can figure it out. Maybe it's just a programming issue with all this stuff that we put on as well. So really nice of him not to charge me for a lot of work that was done easily, you know, $1,500, $2,000. And I took it down to the Land Rover dealer. They looked at it and they said, well, you need to put a pump on it. I told them the Car Wizard had already put a pump on it, but they said, no, we want to put our own pump on it, a OEM Land Rover one. I should, sure, knock yourselves out. They did that. It didn't fix it. Then came a bunch of electrical diagnostics. They replaced relays, they tried wiring things back up, testing all kinds of things, eventually leading to them communicating with experts in the United Kingdom about this thing, on things to do, recommended some more parts. There was 2 or 3 rounds of this that basically racked up about, I believe, $4,000 or $5,000 in repairs, and at the end of it, the light was still on for the suspension error. And well, so they asked me what other parts had been put on. I told them the rear struts were replaced with R-Knot ones. And well, of course, the person in England said, no, replace all 4 struts with brand new ones and that'll fix your problem, which I believe that's $2 grand a corner. So they basically wanted another 8, 10 grand on top of the work that was already done, which was a lot of guesswork that didn't fix anything. And I was not willing to do that, obviously. It was somebody in the United Kingdom guessing. I'm not faulting the dealer because they had given up and consulted the experts over there who are trying to diagnose it remotely, and they have absolutely no idea. So I was like, look, this just needs to stop right now. They've had the car for several months at this point, And I thought, well, why don't we just convert this thing to normal coilover suspension? We can get the light to go off with some sort of, bypass. All the parts that you put on there for the air ride suspension, you can take off, restock, resell, and all the diagnostic, obviously, since it didn't fix anything, I don't think I should be charged for, but you can make it up by converting the suspension over and making the money that way. And they were very fair in that regard, and they were willing to do that, but they refused to work with Rant because Rant is, I guess, sort of a competitor with Land Rover. They're not allowed to buy parts from them. I don't know, I'm guessing. So they actually went with a Strutmaster conversion kit, and it did have a bypass on there, but it didn't work on this car. So they called me up and said, hey, it's not going to work on the Autobiography for some reason, so the light's still completely on. Not only that, but it's flashing at you. You have to cancel it out twice now to drive it. But it is converted. It is done. Come get it. So I went to get the car, paid the, well, it was still close to $4,000, something I think a little bit over that. And I have a car that rides absolutely terribly now. The Strutmaster conversion is nowhere near the ride quality of the air ride suspension. It rides like a truck. And now I have all the lights in the world on the dash that do cancel out, but you still have the warning triangles. It's quite embarrassing. So every time I go to start this thing up now, when it starts, system check in progress. Close the door. You can see 2 triangles of death, suspension fault, max speed 30 miles per hour. Cancel that. Active dynamics fault too, because now we have the active suspension. That was not on before, it is now. So I basically have a permanently broken Land Rover that doesn't even drive all that good thanks to the Strutmaster conversion that is very inferior to the air ride suspension, and I think it's just not a very good replacement in general. So I don't like driving this thing anymore. It has all the lights on, so it's unsellable in that sense, and it's a ticking bomb with the engine that could go at any moment. It has other issues that need to be sorted out. It's just a giant turd that I wish I could dig another hole and bury, but I said I wasn't going to do that anymore. So I'm just stuck with it, because if I sold it, it would curse the next person. I thought this was going to be one of the cars that I sell in my car selling extravaganza that's coming up on Cars and Bids. That's my next video coming up here, but this is not something that you would want to sell to somebody. It's a piece of junk. So to summarize, please, 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 for the love of God, do not buy a cheap old Land Rover. By the time you go and sort things out, you could have got something much nicer. Still has great power though, but the ride it's truly ruined. I feel like I am in an old pickup truck, which you don't want when you're having a Land Rover experience, for sure. Never, ever, ever again will I do this. I gotta think of some exotic way to kill you. Not even the GoPro wants to stay in this thing. What would Whistling Diesel do? Ugh, I am so over this miserable hunk of junk. Unfortunately, I can't light it on fire yet. I really, really want to, but we're actually at Eddie's Chevrolet Cadillac, and look at that beautiful Camaro there for sale. You see they have an amazing selection of exotics and customs, all kinds of things here, which is why this Defender 110 is actually in their inventory. It recently went on trade actually, and it does have a pretty good Chevy tie-in under the hood, which we'll get to in a little bit, but it did start life as an 86 110, but it's certainly not much of that anymore other than the look. It was radically customized by ECD Automotive Design in Florida. And if you follow Shmee150, he recently did a full tour of their facilities where they build these things totally custom, and something like this, Project Urban Warrior, I believe is what it was called, would be about $300,000. So it takes about 300 grand to completely fix and sort out an old Land Rover. It's this right here, but it is absolutely amazing. You can see the 18-inch wheels, custom Brembo brakes, off-road tires, all the rock guards, the roll bars, the lights everywhere. It is totally awesome looking, but the mods are not bolt-on and skin deep. This thing is radically different inside and out, which, well, actually, we should probably start under the hood here, which I'm not even sure if I know how to open. Aha, it's British on the passenger side. There we go. Okay. Oh yeah, there is the Corvette LS3. Much like Apollo 911, has the same motor living under it. Started as a British, probably inline 6-cylinder or diesel or something like that. It is all long gone, and there is pretty much nothing left under the hood that is British. This is so therapeutic and nice to see. I mean, obviously, modern ECU, modern relays, all easily labeled. I doubt even that squirrel box for the fan is original to Land Rover as well. Not even the radiator, nothing. Oh, this is so nice. Let's take a peek underneath here, which is a full custom bumper. Okay, well, maybe the front and rear end is Land Rover. The transmission definitely isn't. The transfer case isn't. So the solid axle does look like the only thing, but probably not. I mean, every single thing has been breathed on and replaced on this thing to get rid of all of the Britishness, which, absolutely wonderful. But then you go inside, you got a little taste of it earlier, and you get Recaro bucket seats with sort of a Lamborghini style pattern in the inserts, but it is fully automatic as well with lumbar heated and cooled. The window controls there. The transfer case, a little bit of a short one. Wizard would definitely have something to say about that. But climb inside. It has all the coolness of an old Land Rover, but so much more. And then you start it up, I imagine. Let's see. That sounds really good. Really good. Even a tire pressure monitor right there. How handy is that? Of course, the 110 has the safari glass there, the ladder in the rear. See what the back looks like. Oh, it even has the 4 rear jump seats. So this is an 8-passenger SUV. Very practical. Obviously 300 grand is not very practical, but I believe they want way less than what it costs to build one of these here at Eddie Chevrolet Cadillac. So if you're interested, give them a call. I'm in love. ECD. Really neat, even though your name kind of sounds like a pill for some kind of dysfunction. But obviously, incredible work. I was driving a Maybach GLS earlier. This is on the other end of craziness, but not in price. Got a lot more heft on these 110s, but you have the LS, so that was an all-wheel drive burnout right there. No 110, unless it's like this, has ever done that. Ever. That's ridiculous. Whoa, you gotta be careful. But it does actually feel really stable. Obviously, they've done some adjustments, some tuning of the suspension as well, because this is much more livable and easy on pavement. Steering much better than the old Defenders. Wow. Doing a U here. Obviously, this thing's way too clean and pretty to off-road as well, but I imagine it still has that prowess. Yep, I still see the diff locks and all that stuff. So cool. Whoa. Huh. There's even a little hammer here, I guess, to break a window. Yeah, that's the window breaking hammer. Don't know why you'd need that. And it's not doing that right here. See, there's 2 cars on the side of the road. It won't do that because it's an LS. And it's funny to think this thing started from a total hoopty, I imagine, a cast-off 110 that nobody wanted, that was probably rattling itself apart with an engine that wasn't running and none of the electric's working. And then it was done up to this. So it is actually possible to sort out an old Land Rover. It just costs a ton of money. Absolute unbelievable amount of money, but it is possible. Am I going to do it with my old 2010? Never, ever, no way. Sorry, I'm giving up. I really do hate that thing, and I'm swearing off Land Rovers for life. So if you ever see me buying a new one, please remind me of how dumb I am in this moment. But I don't feel very dumb thinking about buying one of these. This is so cool. Thank you so much for watching.